Hello everyone, and welcome to another video with me, Umber Rays, and today we're getting the second half of the JP news. Why it was delayed out a day, I can only assume that it wasn't finished, or maybe Alan was still mulling some stuff over. But the second half of the news has come up about the Xenogears event, and I do want to mention one thing. Yes, I know that this exists. I know that this exists. I'm not going to comment on it until, one, I know the details, two, I know how it really works, three, I've tested it, and four, at a later date. Anyway, so yeah, this is not what I'm here to talk about today. Today we're here to look at the enhancements. This was pretty predictable, to be totally honest. It's pretty obvious that with Xenogears coming back that we were going to get the enhancements. And for those of you on the global side, this probably means that Xenogears is going to be coming very shortly to global, as global likes to have the enhancements for JP pop up so that people know that these characters will be more powerful than what they are getting. It builds value. It's not a bad marketing technique, although it's, you know, I'm not a huge fan of it. So yeah, let's talk about this, let's unpack, because there is a lot to go through. So first, let's start with Faye, a character that I got. I actually quite liked him when I got him, and he ended up just kind of falling behind quickly in the middle. Well, what does he get? Well, he gets Fist Mastery, plus an extra 30% attack, and Auto Refresh, okay, I guess. An extra 50% Machine Killer, limit burst damage up 20%, as well as auto LB, including a whole bunch of his abilities getting a 400 mod boost. Ko-Oh multi-hit attack gets a couple extra boosts, a total of 500% to it. Allows access to some ability for 3 turns, and decreases the MP cost by 5. Seems okay, but probably his big one is going to be his AT chaining ability, which is a dark element. Back in the day, there wasn't really a ton of great dark AT chainers, and now there are some really great dark AT chaining options out there, although none of them spring to mind. I guess Primrose is a big enabler for this. Anyway, his Yamakai, or Yamake? No, I'm pretty sure it's Yamakai. Anyway, gets a pretty nice boost to it. A 400% mod total, as well as an MP cost down by 7. Okay, the MP cost down can suck it, but anyway. Dark Imperil plus 50%. So, yeah, it makes Faye go a long way. The extra Machine Killer is nice. He was already pretty much just a machine specialist anyway. You know, the extra attack boost is nice, some modifiers on his bigger abilities, accessing something extra for 3 turns. But Yamake is probably the interesting one, just because that dark chaining has always been kind of nice and useful. Here it just gets boosted, and it's 100% Dark Imperil. But with that being said, do I think Faye's going to really compete? No, he doesn't have stacking damage. He doesn't have a lot of the new features that a ton of other characters have. So Faye definitely gets a bit of a boost, especially for the popular AT chaining family here on the JP side. But Next up is... Now let's hold off on her. Next up is Bart. Let's talk about Bart. Bart, overcoming trauma, gets an extra 20% attack boost and an extra 5% auto refresh. Okay. King of the Desert gets an extra 20% to HP, defense, and spirit, and an extra 50% machine killer. That seems to be a going thing here. His White Lure, one of his more interesting abilities that gives a 100% chance to be targeted, plus a 3-turn self 200% limit burst fill rate, now gains an extra, well, it loses 3 MP cost. It was only 24 MP to begin with, so who really cares all that much? And duration plus 2 turns. Pretty nice to have extended provoke. The longer you can provoke an enemy without having to recast it is nice, provided it's not dispelled, but yeah, I'm going to say just kind of a meh on this one. A general okay, but depends on the cost of upgrading. It just might not be worth it. Prominence, which is Kingsglaive frame. So any of you Knicks fans out here, Bart might be your best friend. Gets 200% mod increase and 100% mod increase and 100% fire imperil. This is pretty good because it's an 8-hit fire attack that also adds fire element damage per a single target 5 turn 100% fire damage per turn. It's really weird the way that's written, but anyway. Prominence is kind of just this 8 Kingsglaive chaining. Good for Knicks, so for any of you Knicks fans, it's kind of nice that that ability gets up. But Bart's never has been really a damage dealer to the extent that other units have been a damage dealer. Bart's kind of support, AoE provoke, and elemental imbuing. All valuable things, but... next up, Wild Smile. A ability that would blind as well as AoE 5 turn, give a 60% debuff to attack and magic. The attack and magic break goes up a total of 14%, although it might be 15% because 74% debuff, kind of weird. That's okay, I guess, but I feel like it should be like a total 15% for rounding. For nice, good divisible by 5 numbers. And he gains an extra 30%, or gives a 30% machine killer bonus for allies. Kind of interesting. White Cologne, his ability that gives evade max 1 attack for 3 turns to all allies and a 200% limit burst fill rate. Probably his most valuable thing. Now gains an extra 2-turn duration, as well as an attack and magic break resist of 100%, and reduces the MP cost by 6. MP cost was never really the issue. It's kind of disappointing that his evade doesn't allow you to evade more attacks. The fact that it goes for longer turns is just not super interesting because chances are you're going to get hit at least every turn since there are so many AoE attacks. So Bart's kind of interesting, but probably not as interesting either. Next up is Sitan, someone I passed on along with Maria because I was burnt out on the Xenogears stuff. So what does Sitan get? Sitan was definitely one of the best damage dealers for a good long while, especially comparable with Axstar, and so yeah, he was just pretty good, but he didn't have any imperils on his own, and he also had trouble finding chaining partners, which kind of held him back a little bit. Well, his death blow counter, a chance to counter physical or magic with an ability that gives him triple cast. Now he has an extra 20% chance of it happening, and it lasts for an extra 2 turns. So triple cast for multiple turns, definitely a little bit better. I mean, triple casting is pretty nice here. Solarian Guardian Angel, he gains auto LB as well as limit burst damage up 40%. That's pretty nice. He had a multi-hit limit burst that was pretty strong, so that's good. Oogie, which is a 4-hit physical attack where he learns, I think it's triple casting, yeah, for 1 turn. Total gets a 350% modifier, so it's about 850%. And now 3 turns triple cast. Again, that brings him up a little more current with a lot of the other damage dealers out there. Amato, which is one of his abilities that gives buffs to other abilities, kind of a la Axstar. This attack, which is a 1-hit 900% attack, gains an extra 300%, loses 7% or 7 MP cost, and the bonus modifier to his other abilities go up by 100%. Pretty nice. Crystal Water, which is his AT water hit chaining ability. Now this one basically gains an extra 250% modifier total, so it's 1000% AT chaining. Loses 6 to the MP cost and boosts other abilities by a total of 400% now. Unfortunately, this is not what Sitan needs, and any fan of Sitan will tell you that this is kind of not it. While his kit is pretty nice, and this will probably put him above Axstar, unfortunately not having an elemental debuff for his main water element means that you need to get it from somewhere else. That's not always the easiest thing. So yeah, Sitan really didn't get anything of what he actually needed. He just got it some more modifiers and more triple casting, but not really enough passives or anything to probably really push him into competition. So Sitan, I mean, kind of nice, but feels like it still misses the mark. Although that limit burst might be interesting. And he did have human killers, so maybe I'm underestimating him a little bit, but his enhancements don't seem that stellar. I would be interested to see somebody enhance him and use him just to see how good he is. Next up is Maria, probably the underappreciated mage. I wasn't super excited about her back at the time, and I'm still not super excited about her now before reading her enhancements. So let's take a look. First of all, she'll get an extra bunch of 30% HP and MP, 30% fire resistance, confuse immunity, auto limit burst, and 40% magic through dual hand. Well, we're getting started here. 20% defense, 20% to all stats from the equipped Esper, an extra 25% machine killer, an extra 40% magic through dual wield. Interesting. Her gravity fist, which is a stacking ability, her stacking magic attack that can go up to 2,600% modifier total, now looks like it gets a couple of extra stacking mods, so okay, interesting, if nothing else. Missile Pod gains her a 2,000 HP barrier. I'm not sure if this is AoE. Basically, it's a Missile Pod is a Kingsglaive framed hit ability that's AoE. It also does AoE 40% damage reduction too. The 2000 HP barrier is not specified if it is just for her or for everybody, but it's interesting. Also, the damage reduction goes up by an extra 10%, so I don't hate this. I wish it was AT chaining instead, but this is not. It generally seems nice without knowing the other details about it. And Magneto, her 66 MP AT chaining ability that was fire element, that also could debuff fire for 80%, now gets a significant boost. A total of, well, two 475% modifiers to it, a MP cost down of 6%, or 6 MP, sorry, it's almost 6%. And a fire imperil goes up another 40%, which means that she debuffs fire for 120%, which actually is significant. It is really, really significant. I gotta say, Maria looks like she is going to be actually pretty strong. For one thing, she's an AT chainer. For second thing, she has a big fire imperil that pairs nicely with, oh, I don't know, units like Axstar or CG Lightning, who could potentially, well, Lightning has the benefit of being able to equip more weapons and could equip a fire weapon in theory. So a fire imperil here is pretty nice. In terms of mages, this is interesting. She also provides a fair amount of support for the party with damage reduction and a potential HP barrier. Until if we know if the HP barrier is AoE, I'm putting an asterisk on this, but definitely looks like Maria got probably easily the best enhancements of here, and she was already pretty good to begin with. But of course, there's the real true question here. Ellie. Oh my dear sweet Ellie, the girl that I haven't shut up about for a long time, that I'm sure some people wish I would. Because, you know, not everybody's gonna get her. Sorry, sad truth. What does she get? Well, she gets an extra HP and defense of 20%, 50% machine killer. She gets her limit burst up damage, the anti-type, auto limit burst, as well as magic plus 60%, which, Ellie's real problem was never hitting the stat cap, for me at least, but hey, this makes true dual hand builds better for her, so providing it's not true, if it's dual wielding magic or true dual handing magic, I'm very interested. I assume it's just regular magic, but man, do I wish that was something else. Or, well, I guess I'll wait and see. Animo Burn, her fire ability, or wind ability that can debuff wind, is getting an extra 20% wind imperil, MP cost down by 4, and a 200% modifier. It was never much of a damage dealer. Anyway, it was all about that wind debuff. 80% wind debuff is okay, but Terra Storm, her one that debuffs Earth, is getting basically the same thing, except instead of just a 200% mod, it's getting a 300% mod. That was an AoE 16 hit Earth magic attack, which is way better in terms of chaining, so that's interesting. And of course, the big one, the big two we should talk about are her Animo Wave, which is Chaos Wave frames, Wind Magic, 5 hits with her 1400. Basically, the stacking mod goes up 150, as well as her MP cost goes down by 8. The MP cost thing is good here, because this is the main ability that was always important for her. If it is Chaos Wave chaining frames now, then that's a big step up for Ellie. Her chaining was always off, so it would be nice if that gets, modified. The modifier doesn't feel super exciting. It's not, well, no, never mind. I guess I'm reading these wrong. The stacking mods are actually how much it stacks. So it goes up to a total of 2,350%. This may require some testing to see actual damage output, but I'm interested. I would probably, if it changes the chaining family to proper chaining with other characters in the wind element, we might have something here. We just might have something. Her other ability, her Terra Ghost, basically her wind and just her earth and wind abilities are getting enhanced, which is kind of disappointing. I liked her having fire and water too. Would have been nice if they all could have gotten enhancements, but Terra Ghost gets kind of the same stacking mod, an MP cost reduction, and that's about it. So, yeah, Ellie, it's hard to say, and also I should talk maybe about some of the other stacking mods. Maria is never mind. Maria goes up to, with her Gravity Fist, goes up to now 4,800%. Okay. Alright. So, let me give my overall thoughts. The boys basically kind of feels like they got shafted on this bunch of enhancements. Sitan, Bart, and Faye, well, they got some nice stuff to help improve them against machines, and some generally nice, boosts for their physical and whatnot. Faye probably got the better overall improvements, because he wasn't that great to begin with, so they have more room. Sitan already had a lot of human killers, so I think they're just a little nervous about giving this guy anything extra, which kind of leaves him in a disappointing spot for enhancements, but he was already pretty darn good. And Axstar is still pretty darn good on the JP side, so Sitan is pretty good. It would have been nice, really. The only thing they really needed to give him was a water debuff, and they didn't. So, yeah. As for Bart, while he does get some extra cool things like Provoke, probably feels pretty lackluster, as that Provoke just isn't going to be enough to really make that cool of a that big of a difference for him. Ellie seems to get potentially really what she needed. Bigger, constant debuffs that she can do for her main elements, wind and earth, I guess. I don't know, I still would have probably preferred water, but whatever. Extra magic, some MP cost reduction, which is nice for her, but really, if her wind ability is actually properly chained and a much higher modifier now, she might actually be okay for people who did not get any of the newer mages. She might be actually totally fine to enhance. However, I have to give the biggest nod to Maria. Maria, who was already really good and now has probably put her in a higher contention with some of the best mages. Is she going to go head to head with Soul as well as CG Dark Fina? I think 100% no. Dark Fina just has too many stats and passives, as well as Soul too. Both of those mages have really good kits that are just awesome. So yeah, I'm just in total, absolute 100% convinced that I don't think Maria will be top tier, but she will definitely be pretty darn close if she's not there anyway. So yeah, Maria definitely probably the big winner of this. Shout outs to Billy, Emeralda, and Rico, and of course my boy Choo Choo, who all got enhancements too, but we're not overly worried about them. So yeah, Xenogear's enhancements, kind of a mixed bag, not really what the physical damage dealers needed, but boy, are the magic kind of interesting. So that's all for now, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Till then, see you later.